Hello and welcome to Genius Tea Time with Shannon Ivey. Thank you so much for joining us. This is amazing.
It's my pleasure. I love every minute with you.
Awesome. Shannon, in her own words, um, MFA, AEA, PCC, she, her,
Mm-hmm.
is the founder of the award winning project What She Said and Gather South Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
LLC.
Hmm.
Shannon is an ICF professional certified coach, an actor director, TEDx speaker, and creative rabble rouser. One of my favorite things about you. She spent over 20 years in traditional theater as an acting professor, union actor, and director, only to wake up to the realization she was telling other people's stories that didn't include herself or those she loved. This led her to investigate the power of narrative through the theater of the oppressed, first person storytelling events, essays, and creative nonfiction, narrative medicine, and
Hmm.
eventually coaching, which is how I met you.
Hmm.
She lives in Columbia, South Carolina, with a dog and a chicken, tries to grow veggies, writes haikus, supports community, and enjoys being a member of the local improv troupe, and is proud mother to a brilliant son named Marco. Her medical memoir, Welcome to the Shit Show, a memoir of colorectal cancer and the power of self advocacy, is now in stores. You should get it. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, I'm
And
glad to be here.
congratulations on the book. How long did it take you to get to there?
Ooh, you don't want to know. Okay, so parts of the book I began writing in 20 between 2012 and 2015. Just sort of like start I began to use story slams as a way to build community where I was teaching in Orangeburg, South Carolina. There's this like they have two HBCUs in town, and then there's like this larger community. They never cross over, but I'm a bridge. So I was like, let me run this story slam series in different locations, get people to come on campus, get my students to come out of campus and go to like a restaurant or the theater downtown, like you do. So some of it I began working on well before the cancer diagnosis, which was in the day before Trump was elected the first time, 2016. Yep, that was a real rough day to be diagnosed. Um, yeah, and so I am not a trained writer, but I have always written. Not journals per se, but like especially towards sort of the end of my traditional theater career, I began to listen to Moth style story slams. And after like, that's how I started creating my versions of those story slams. Same rules as the Moth, 5 to 8 minutes, got to be your story, told in first person, no notes. So what's fascinating is I thought this book, I'm pointing to it over here, it's pretty. I thought it was a book of essays. So a 5 to 8 minute story is kind of like a 5 to 8 page essay, especially if you have dialogue, which I'm trained to perform. So I'm an actor, right? So this beautiful book, look at that. I just love that knot called a Gordon knot.
It's fabulous.
Very complicated situation. So I didn't know I was writing a book. I was writing to make sense of what was going on. You asked me a question. What did it say?
Oh,
Let's
no,
see.
I'm
Oh yes, HBCUs are historically black colleges and universities.
just in
So,
case anybody might not know.
oh yeah, no, thank you.
Mhm.
I hate it when people put letters out and then you're like, what are you talking about? So I would say I here's the interesting part, and people who have known me this whole time, and actually that's not that many people. I didn't tell anybody. I was late stage 3. I was a single mom. I was 42. I had like weathered a really difficult crash from being a theater professor and then being cut in July before August.
Ooh.
Like what am I going to do? Nobody's hiring a theater professor and I'm not licensed to teach K-12. What am I supposed to do? And I live in a teeny tiny town. Anyway, that was a difficult time to figure out what to do with myself because we know that theater skill sets, are wide and varied. But when you've got a little kid and they're going into kindergarten, it was just like, what am I doing with myself?
Mm.
I'm not telling you this part of the story. Oh, because because I had been through such vulnerable moments. I had only really been in this new job training health and social service providers
Mm.
to give client-led referrals in the case of unintended pregnancy, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, in 5 health and social service environments in South Carolina, so you can get the environment. So that was my new job.
Oh,
Turns
wow.
out I was pretty good at it in North and South Carolina. Yeah. So I think, like, as I'm telling you this story, I'm like, you're seeing how these things are starting to come together.
Got
First
it.
person storytelling, understanding of intersectionality, how it comes into bias and not person centered care, which I was like, wow, a big part of. And I just realized that I was beginning to experience some things.
Yeah.
And so, but I wasn't experiencing the worst of it. So, part of the job of this book, which I'm pretty clear about, how did a queer person get a public health memoir done that has a whole bunch of race and gender statistics in it in 2026? I don't know. I'm
But
good at
that's what
pitching
we need.
and I'm funny. I don't know. So I thought it was like 8 essays. I went to this, and that took a bazillion years. And I had begun to spend more time with it. Like you do? You're like, oh, I think this is a thing. Like, it kind of woke me up at night. Whenever I had like a lull in my creative energy, I'd be like, is that a book? And I'd come back to it. So I began to take it about, do a little bit more with it, but I still like cancer. I wasn't telling anybody.
Mm.
So I went to a writer's conference with a friend, not as a writer, because I'm an actor, not a writer, right?
Well, so you
And
thought.
I know. I was like, well, and so I was in a panel where they were talking about traditional versus self-published versus academic press. So this whole time I'd been hanging out with the narrative medicine folks up at Columbia University. And
Oh.
I had been writing beside clinicians. I had been writing pieces of this book, sort of testing pieces of this thing
Mm.
near this group of people. So that's where I wanted it to go,
Got
into
it.
that world. But I knew it had a trade side for people. This is the book I didn't have. I needed this book. So anyway, I met my editor that week at that conference in the hallway, cold
Ama-
pitched her, and here we are.
Hurrah.
I
But
know.
yeah, so much has to come together with all
Yep.
of that. I mean, first off, you have to have the diagnosis. And in what a terrible time. I'm sorry that this has happened. But I'm
Yeah.
also so glad that you had the wherewithal to deal with the situation
Yeah. I
because
think that's why
it's
I'm still here.
absolutely, there's a lot of people who don't and aren't.
I know that. I think that's the hardest part of what I have to do,
Yeah.
is that I know. Like, I
Yeah.
I make jokes a lot. I'm like, y'all, I could have sneezed funny and I would have been stage 4. I think the reason why I took my health so seriously is because the entire time I thought I was. And because people in
Mm.
my online support, I really did. I thought, well, they just haven't found it. Cancer's so sneaky. It can seed another place. And I mean, it's so sneaky. So I just thought, I did the death cleaning. I had the hard conversations. I did the whole thing. I'm just like, well, this is it. Like, it's been a good run. I got to prepare to leave this kid motherless. And because I took it so seriously, a lot of people hated that. They're like, you're going to be fine. No, we didn't know. I had a lot of fighting to do to make it to this point. And so I do see people who fight with younger bodies, with more in shape bodies. I see people fight and they still don't make it. And
Yeah.
so, in some ways, I think this book helped me alleviate some of that survivor's guilt. Like, if I'm,
Mm.
eaten by a shark. The next time I go in the ocean, I've left something.
Yeah.
And it's in print. And so it's like a legacy. Theater is so ephemeral. Do you know all that work I did? It's just in the minds of people who, it's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a picture somewhere, somebody's phone, but all that work is gone. So I think I was also wanting something I could leave.
Something tangible.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
helpful. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And you just set out as doing it as essays. Did you find that that was just like a little easier to crack that? Like,
Yeah.
not so serious, not so serious.
Yeah, and what the hardest part was when my editor said, well, she said two things that were hard. She was so lovely. She was like, "Let me send what you got to me." And I'm like, "Oh, it's just a messy 40,000 words." It's like I need about 8 editors, and that not a few of my friends have helped me. It's just not where it needs to be. Just like, "Yeah, send it to me." So by the time she got back, she was like, "Okay, I can't promise you anything, but after I read it, I can't not think about it. And I've asked 5 people if they've had their colonoscopies. My aunt got a diagnosis. Like she just was like, it did that thing where it was like the universe. And this is
Oh,
before the
wow.
statistics changed 2 years later, because it really did take about a year and a half for us working together to get it to this point. She also said, I don't think this is essays. I think we need to make this into linear
Mm,
narrative. And as theater people, we're like, okay, it's not episodic. We're going to timeline it, right?
okay.
And the hardest part of shifting it from essays was that I'm repetitive. And I feel like I was
Mm,
trying
mm,
to
mm, mm,
get a
mm.
point across. Trying to get the repetition out was like, I don't know that I was that successful, but I think I think I think it's okay. No one has complained so far that it's too repetitive. So
There's
don't
only
look at
so
the
many ways you
reviews.
can say cancer.
There's only so many ways you can talk about your butt. How in the world am I a person with a whole book about her butt? I don't know, but here we are.
But here we are.
Here
But
we are.
and also it's such a real issue, and I think like a lot of things, the statistics probably would have been higher sooner if people were talking about it, because people get embarrassed and uncomfortable about body parts and about evacuation and about anything dealing with ew, the ew factor. Like,
Yep.
more people have died probably from
Yep.
this.
Yep.
And that, why do we hear more
Someone,
about that? Because we're actually hearing more about it.
there's
Not
so
because,
much shame.
oh, it's so bad.
So much shame. And I believe, watch this, I believe it's connected also to sexuality.
Of course it is.
And people, you put poop and sexuality in the same sentence and then connect like your aunt, your uncle, and so people, and that's not one of I'll tell you a good thing. So, not a good thing, but the month before the book came out, I know somatically, I was still a little braced with still a little shame. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I actually stopped the press at one point after one peer reviewer did not believe me and was harsh, like didn't believe my lived experience. Now, I'm a storyteller, I can be hyperbolic, but I was telling the truth. And she questioned me so many times that I was like, nope, 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 nope. I need a pause. January, before the book came out in February. And then I had a lot of therapy. My therapist was like, okay, you get to say no, right? And this is a consent moment. You get to say pause and stop. And the press did a good job. They paused with me. They understood what had happened. Um, and then I took some time to think about it. And my editor reclaimed the last edit and undid what that peer reviewer had done. That's what I needed. So Aurora went above and beyond with me, really calmed my nervous system, and we really worked through the things that were so painful. I love her.
Oh,
And then the January before February, the book came out this year in February. Um, the statistics dropped. The statistics that my neurospiciness knew the whole time. If you read in the book, It's like, this is going to be the number one cancer killer in at least 2030, if not before. Nope, it's now. The number one cancer killer of people under 50. It's now. And so I'm 51. All my friends like are around my age within 10 years. And I'm like, oh my God, y'all, have you had your colonoscopy? I knew this was happening. We who I've been in this for 10 years, and that's what I'm watching. People in their 30s, a lot of women are in childbirth and they find out they're stage 3 or 4 because, like, that's the only time they're near a doctor in their 30s is the OBGYN. So my whole thing is like, I had symptoms that I equated to being a perimenopause. And that's what and no one talks about that. That is again, I've done the lit review. I've looked. I'm like, is there any doctor anywhere, any patient anywhere that will say blood? And sorry if this is upsetting to anyone. Aside female at birth, women, we're used to blood in the underwear. We're used to blood when we wipe. I thought it was my period starting. And they're like making fun of me on the todayshow.com, that article, or people.com. I don't know. People in the comments are saying she doesn't know her butt from a hole. And I'm like, I do. The way they talk about these symptoms are male coded. This is why women in rectal cancer is like, shoo. Yeah. So I just say it to anyone that is even nearing or has like, especially for people with chronic illness and they have like maybe cycles that are not on the same time of the month that like me. I always had cycles that were random. So I'm like, it could have been stage 4 had I not decided that year to do something. Anyway, I'll step off my soapbox. But hopefully someone is thinking about it who's listening to this. And it's like, wait a minute, maybe I should get this checked out.
It's absolutely important, and it's also regularly not talked about, much less perimenopause and menopause. A whole nother issue, but what happens to you frequently when one has a uterus, there's a whole host of other things that don't get discussed, haven't been studied. Some of it didn't even start getting clinically studied till the 90s. This is actively harmful, and you're trained as doctors. I mean, doctor training is a nightmare in the first place. But you're trained that you have to be right at all costs, even regardless of people's lived experience, and that can be a real problem.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was at a health humanities conference because that's a field I've found some friends in. Health humanities, medical humanities. There's since the 1980s, and really, y'all, of course, we've been trying to do this forever. Bring humanity back to medicine. I mean, like, oh my gosh, even just like pay the doulas and midwives, please. So culturally competent care, like it's not a new thing, but I'm going to talk about it in the vein of like an academic study. Health humanities, medical humanities really began to catch on in the 1980s. And I have somehow, because I like started making friends at Columbia University, health humanities, narrative medicine is what they call it. I've gotten very comfortable in that world. Now it's like very clinician heavy, very PhD heavy, but they do like us artists. So I was at a conference in Indianapolis, and while I was there, I was like putting these little cards, like I joke that I'm like, this is my baby. This is my second born, and I'm ridiculous. I'm a helicopter parent. And so I had these cards, the press made me these cards, and I'm like, can I give you this? Can I give you this? Would you like to be friends with my child? That's what it felt like. But a young medical student co-authored this paper, and it was talking about health self-efficacy. And I'm like, and as she described what health self-efficacy does in outcomes across the board, meaning the person is heavily invested in their own care, is statistically correlated to better outcomes. This makes sense to me. Doesn't it make sense to you?
Of course.
Makes sense to me. I went up to her after and I handed her the card for my book. And I was like, this research, that's my book. I got heavily interested in my own care. Now, watch this. I got a new thing for you. You didn't even know this. So, this is I call it my book cousin. This came from the University of South Carolina Press. It's called The Patient Empowerment Paradox. So I'm learning, and I will send you information soon. In this book, it's more about folks with Lyme disease, and it's very academic, but let's just say there's like hearts and amens. I'm Southern and I'm queer and I've brought amen back. I'm like, amen, exclamation points. So I am finding what we know represented in her data. So if I had all the money in the world, I would take that study that the medical student did, and she's got my information, and this information, and I would put it together because what this says is clinicians don't want empowered patients, especially for things like Lyme disease and other chronically ill condition, like people with chronic illness. Well, I was reading, and especially for white women, and I'm like, okay. So I am doing another interview. I'll send you the interview with her. We're going to do it Wednesday at the press. So she's a white woman and an academic, an English professor, a rhetoric professor. And what we were talking about is like, okay, so are you saying that if we put it all together, you can be active in your own care, but you've got to learn communication tips and tricks to deal with these different clinicians? And what I would say, if you read my book, you will see that I fired the first surgeon. I didn't know you could fire a doctor. Then I learned, and then I hired the one that saved my life. But I will meet other people that didn't like the one that I think saved my life. They like so-and-so over there or yachty boo over there. It is literally about, do you connect with them? That's not rocket science. Maybe the like most empowering thing to know is that you can fire a doctor and find another one, even if you are on socially subsidized health insurance.
Yes. And that often you need to. And because sometimes you're going to run into people who won't give you the care you need.
Right. Like and they may think you're drug seeking. Oh my God. Oh, so we can take a clue from the Black women who have been navigating this and the queer Black folks who have been navigating this ahead of us. We can take clues from them and learn that you might have to shop. So I have now been like, I'm not going to gaslight myself. We either get along like the house is on fire. I think that's a weird metaphor. Or we don't. Like, how important are they to me staying alive?
Yeah, totally.
How do they feel about my nerdy questions? Does it seem to aggravate them? We're not going to get along. You know, the recent one I want to talk about is GLP-1s and being a late stage survivor missing organs. So if I don't qualify for SSDI, well, GLP-1s have shown some, not 5-year peer review because they're kind of new to this population. I don't know. Are you willing to have a conversation with me about that?
Yeah.
And if not, then you're not my guy or lady or non-binary friend, and I will go find somebody else. Not that I'm seeking a drug. I can buy it off the internet. I just want someone who will be in this conversation with me.
Yeah. And that's so important. It really is.
Yes.
Like every disabled person I know, particularly people who are Black or Indigenous and queer, and there's often some Venn diagrams there, have had to negotiate medical gaslighting.
Yep.
Every single person I know with a uterus has had to negotiate medical gaslighting. And there's a certain amount of having to take that into your own hands if you want to also live.
That was my decision
here.
I'm trying to be alive, and in that moment deciding whether or not, literally, and I tell people this very honestly after reading everything, at my working class, single parent, family not aligned with medicine the way I was dealing with medicine, I didn't have the right support system that could handle a cancer diagnosis. And really, it's like rare to have one that can handle it. It's very disruptive to support systems. I I was thinking about treating or not treating. I didn't know if I had it. I didn't know if I could afford it. I didn't know if I could parent my child. I didn't know what I would do. And this for our audience is like people are going to be nodding. I had my therapist ask me years later, I didn't have a good therapist at the time. The one I have now say, were you more afraid of dying or living with a severe invisible disability?
Yeah.
You know what the answer is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't afraid of death. I didn't want to leave my kid alone.
Mm.
I didn't want to die in pain. I was like, how am I going to work and raise this kid in capitalism with this body when everything I know how to do requires me to be able to keep my shit together? Ha ha.
But but yeah, I mean, it's hard. Look, it's
It is
just
hard.
flat out hard, and no one deserves to be thought as less than because they can't maneuver things in an able-bodied way. But our culture is not good with it and
It's
does not
rough.
make it easy in
It
literally
does not.
any way.
And it is the work of my lifetime. I think a part of why I wanted to write this book was also to bring some awareness to, I joke that there's a code on every bathroom. And I like this sort of like, there are going to be so many people who, if they survive colorectal cancer, are going to have weird talks with our friends. I mean, there's just so many of us now. We're like, really, like, there's Urinetown. It's a
Hmm.
privilege to pee. I'm like, it's a privilege to poo. And so, why do we have to? I remember being in Switzerland and it was like $4 to go to their bathroom on the train stop. $4. And I was like, are we heading in this direction in America?
Sections, yes. I mean, there's some places that you can't use the bathroom unless you bought yourself a drink. It's the
Yep.
same thing.
$4 here, $4 there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where it is. You're still paying to poop.
Yep. Which is an ableist notion,
Oh,
right?
totally.
So this is a part of like, if I can bring this sort of thing through a funny title into our discussion, can we get better at like thinking of bathrooms, not just in like how wide the doors are, yes, and public access to restrooms.
Yeah,
Why can't we also put that into the conversation?
yeah.
Yeah.
Just a real straightforward thing
Yep.
that we literally all need to do.
I know.
Like, it's not a question. Every last one of us has to poop. It's going to, it's, otherwise bad things happen.
I just say you got a biohazard issue about to happen. I just say biohazard. And
Yeah,
normally that.
yeah.
However, if I can be a little political right now, is that all right for your audience?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
South Carolina has just passed something. I'm so glad my son is in California because they passed this thing for K to 12 public institutions, public universities in South Carolina that folks who are trans now have to use porta potties. So all of my life just came together, right? The whole thing. So we've joked, we in the queer and advocacy community, we're going to get like vests made of like pants checkers or something. Like it's so ridiculous. And I have been questioned in bathrooms before. And I'm like,
Yeah, this is all about control. This is
I know.
all about control because this is who gets to determine if they
Yep,
think you're trans,
yep.
who's going to be checking. We have yet
And in
more.
elementary schools, Or who's
What
going to
the
be checking our minors? No, no, no.
what the hell is wrong with
I
people?
know. I know. So
Wow.
hopefully we think there's going to be lawsuits that will come if the governor signs it. We also think like it's hot in South Carolina. You're
Hmm.
really going to put a little kid in a porta potty? Like really you're going to do this? Like what are we going to do about the dorms? Like it just like think it all the way through and then the ADA can get because then you're going to have, like ADA accessible porta potties. This is ridiculous. But South Carolina can be ridiculous. So I'm grateful that places like California, where my kid goes to school, very happily he can use the bathroom of his choice. So
Woza.
I
What the
know.
hell?
I know. They're doing a lot of crazy things in South Carolina right now. Really cool things.
I mean, in so many places, really.
Yeah.
And it's just the
It's a
wow.
Venn
How many
diagram of
people are we
fuckery.
trying to kill?
Exactly.
Really?
Exactly. If my son still lived in the state, I would have plans to move us. I don't know how we
Oh,
will. These bills make a little tour around the fuckery states. I'm going to take a little tour. But I would not make him go through that.
absolutely not.
Yeah. And then if you think about class situations, like economic class, like people can't afford to go to the private schools. They're like, what are we gonna do? So I'm just really feeling for my trans siblings and the parents of trans and non-binary kids. I'm like, oh. But hopefully, ACLU and whoever is gonna like wade in and like stop this before the school year. They can't do anything before the end of this school year. But I'm just looking at next fall, and I teach again, so I'm back to adjuncting. And I had 3 trans students in my college class.
Yeah. I mean, what the hell?
Yep.
It's not, look, it's not like you're going to actually get rid of people. You're just going to make it more abusive and awful for people.
Yep.
That's
And
what it is.
our suicide rate is really not good.
No, it's
Yep.
already bad.
Yep.
And frankly,
Yep.
if you need that in order to feel powerful and in control of yourself, what a sick human being you are. Really.
Yep. But
What
the
a,
midterms are coming up in June, so we gotta know who we're like,
yeah, yeeting. There's a lot of people to yeet. And then a
you
lot
know,
of people to re-educate is a part of the
we
so much.
have a few people that vote differently than me who are really putting their foot down about the cruelty of like these 2 particular laws.
That's good.
That yes, and I'm like, okay, I will follow yours. I'll watch what you're doing over there. You may
Yeah.
vote that way, but you are putting your foot down about the cruelty. I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have your beliefs, just don't be cruel. Like
Hmm.
that's someone. If I were running for public office, I would, I would reach across the aisle.
Well, I mean, with some things, look, I am never going to tell somebody that they need to go and, for example, befriend their abuser. That's not an okay thing. Um, but there are ways that we can reach each other that I
Yeah,
think behind, when you're living online, you're not doing a very good job of that. When you're only living in bubbles, you don't do that. But
yeah.
for example, everybody needs colonoscopies.
They do, and it's not age 50 anymore. So that's the other soapbox. I'm like, did you know they moved it back to 45? We're advocating for them to move it to 40 because the stage 4s that we're seeing in this like bloom in millennials, that means they've been growing it for 7 years or more, right? Said stage 4. Yep. It's so sneaky. Colon cancer is so sneaky. And it's not an old man's disease anymore. It's got a lot. We don't know why there's an uptick in millennials, but of course there's multiple reasons. It's also environmental. We just, it's not one thing.
It never is. But then
No,
also a lot of people, yes, in the whole idea of like, oh, why are there more people with that? Maybe you're paying more attention, and maybe the environment is worse.
yeah. I just like to be early to every party. So here I am.
And here you are. I know we were talking before we started in here. One of the things that sometimes there's a misconception that once you've written a book, that's it, and you're just starting to make money, and everything's happy and perfect. And the maybe explaining to our viewers about what that process can actually be like, and how you might also need to learn a living, because
So
we do.
because it looks real fancy from the outside. And even book people think I have money. And I'm like, I am more poor because of this book than I have been in 20 years.
Oh
And that's
wow.
okay. I'm okay. I just put a lot of time and effort and my own resources. It just took a long time. Um, yeah, books. I think about Elizabeth Gilbert, whether you love her or you hate her. Elizabeth Gilbert wrote Big Magic. And I remember in that book, I used to like give it to I still give it to clients sometimes. What it said was like, you can't make your art pay your mortgage. So in some ways, I am more stable because I was able to get a mortgage in 2020. I live in a relatively inexpensive state, even though their laws are questionable. I can grow my own vegetables. I am entrepreneurial. I can figure out things to do. But I will tell you, I haven't made a dollar on this. I've only spent money. I will also say the academic press was absolutely the right way for me to go because it's peer reviewed and it has evidence. Like this would be something I could get tenure for if I was like a full-time professor. I'm not. So, yeah, it's been an interesting. I think one of the things about it I'm finding is that people don't like to pay patients unless they're stage 4. So I survived, which means I'm not their golden stage 4 person. I've met them. Oh, and they're usually men. Hmm. In my world, they also like the stories of women who were stage 4 while they were having a baby and then they died. And then they're very sad, just like Disney. Disney loves dead mothers. I'm alive and kind of a pain in everyone's butt, literally. I'm like, get your colonoscopy. So right now, what I'm finding is there's a whole new economy, and I'm still not the protagonist they want. Just like in acting.
Ugh. So,
Oh well.
what character role you want, baby?
Oh.
Oh my god, that's in.
But I do feel like it's helpful. It's been fascinating to do this. It's been fascinating to see who's picking it up, what they're talking about, and I just keep talking about the one symptom she thought was perimenopause turns out to be late stage rectal cancer. That one's working. That one's getting out there, and I think that's helping. Yeah, I also heard that from other writer friends, they'd say a memoir, if you're not famous, rarely sells 100 books. I think I'm at like 400. The press wants me to be at 800 in 2 years. In order for that to happen, I need colleges to start, maybe book clubs. But really, like when you think about book clubs, everybody's going to be like, yay, let's read about her butt. Like, I don't know that Reese Witherspoon is going to be like, I love that scene when you woke up in the middle of your colonoscopy. Let's make it a television series. I'm like, it's not going to happen.
Well, we
Um,
don't know. I mean, Aaron Brockovich did become a movie.
but Oprah is going to be like, Oprah, but that's not, come on.
I
I
don't know.
did,
I'm perhaps. I mean, that's actually something that it's worth talking about, just because of the intersectionality of it, and because of
yeah,
how much more it affects people of color.
that's why I wrote it because my timeline when Chadwick Boseman died went insane. And that I had been like I'm in South Carolina. I taught at an HBCU. I mean, for these are my friends. And when their grief hit, I was like, well, who are they talking about? Of course I didn't know. I didn't, just like I watched them enjoy Wakanda Forever. I watched them enjoy it, but I didn't think it was my place. Then I did some research and then I did more research. And then I'm like, oh my God, 37. We were diagnosed same stage. And he was at the peak physical and career success. And he's fighting colorectal cancer. So unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman passed at 42, which is when I was diagnosed. So we weren't diagnosed at the same age. He was younger than me. And he is from the upstate of South Carolina. And so one of the other reasons why I wrote the book is because what I think I know is that one of the reasons why people aren't paying attention is because it was affecting people who are Black and brown, rural, poor people, and Black and brown people. Ugh. And Black and brown, what I know from my Black friends is like they don't talk about it. Mm-hmm. They will with me. They'll be like, oh, you wrote a book about colorectal cancer? Well, my uncle, my dad, and they just start naming people who died from it. And I'm like, I had no idea. No idea.
And sometimes it takes something like the book before people will talk about that. And that might translate into something later in terms of payment. I don't know. But certainly your experience with theater and with performing makes you an excellent person and choice to talk about it with many, many, many people and many types of people.
Yeah, and one of the lovely parts early on is that I got to be on 2 or 3 or 4 podcasts with Black men telling me about their colonoscopies. And I'm like, this is going to work. That's cool. What I need. Yeah. I need to go with someone that vouches for me and be like, yeah, she's all right. And then we have a conversation and then it's seen. So in many ways.
So they get their colonoscopies.
We tend to buy books from people who look like us. And often. So I also wanted white women to be aware of it. I'm like, y'all, I get to see things that people don't get to see who look like me.
Because of this other common ground.
Right. So that is also why I was like, watch me put a bunch of public health data about race in here. And so they're like literally seeing the research I'm looking at through my eyes without the book being too dry.
Yeah. And that's sometimes it's helpful. Yeah. I mean, it helps that for other audiences that you might look more approachable to them. For other groups, it'll help just that you have had the disease.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit funny. So that works.
I think you're very funny, but that's okay.
I'll pull the funny out if I can access it. That's one of the things I've noticed. So is this book a moneymaker? Is it interesting? Yeah. Will something happen later? Maybe. But what I'm finding is I'm so grateful that the shame is 99% gone. TodayShow.com did the article again, and everybody's like, oh, yay, you're back on the... And what I just thought was like, I'll never get a job because you look my name up. Shannon Ivey rectal cancer. Like, is that really... That's it? Like, they're not talking about the book. It's just like my name and rectal cancer. And people are like, no. So I actually was filling out a little job application the other day. Actually, like yesterday. I can't lie about my hidden disability. You know, they make you certify. I'm like, yep, I got one, because if they Google me.
No, yeah, it's going to show up.
It would eventually come to be a point of conversation eventually. I just don't really lead with it.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. But on that note, how can people find you and what else can they pay you for? Because maybe if the book is not doing it, shamefully.
Oh, it's all right. You don't have to pay my mortgage. So they can find me at shannon-ivey.com. If you put in Shannon Ivey, Ivey, there's another Shannon Ivey, interestingly enough, in Texas. She will not return my emails. I got her name on Equity, and that's union. Haha. But she's got her name on SAG-AFTRA. So she's got my domain, but I'm Shannon-Ivey.com. So I'm a coach. And one of my favorite things to do is I have like monthly clients that will work together on something entrepreneurial, something like creative business. I just work with artists really well. Sometimes they're like, this summer, I really want to work for 3 months with a coach to get something done, X, Y, and Z. So I'll put up a little package and work something out with them. And so that's pretty fun. But I'm going to be launching I'm actually really excited about it. I've been working with women running for public office as their speech strategist, and it blends all of these things together, right? I've been doing speech work. I've been doing storytelling work. Now I'm like the strategist that's helping them curate their stories to get what they want, which is theater. They just don't know. And these are women who are going from listeners, helpers to leaders without losing who they are. I help them refine their speech strategy. It's so fun.
That's amazing. Have you looked at, or are you working with Run for Something?
No.
Okay.
Who's
well,
that?
I will put that one up.
Yeah, because we have a Democrat running in like every race in South Carolina.
Awesome.
So a lot of people say, "Oh, they can't afford you," and I'm like, I can work a deal. So if they need me,
I think
women, we couldn't have a credit card before what, 1970?
Before the 70s, you couldn't own property without the permission of your husband.
So we're behind in feeling like, sorry, just open it up. I'm back to you. We're behind in being on stages of any sort. I was not raised watching any woman lead. I was raised with female teachers, but not even in the arts. I had all male teachers. So you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know I could be a professional artist. I didn't know what that looked like as a woman. And I'm just Gen X. We are still learning the skills that men have refined epigenetically for 1 billion years. And so we're catching up. And so we need a me to help put it together and then practice with them. And we work with the feedback. It's good work. I'm enjoying it. And yes, I just made it up, but it's been fun.
I think it's amazing. I've worked with you, full disclosure, because I've met you over at the Free From Survivor Wealth Summit, which was amazing.
Yes.
But just talking about the idea of creative strategy work, because often we as creatives have billions of ideas and good getting some sections of it out, but then strategizing how to make the rest of it work can be a real challenge.
Yeah, and working with someone who knows the reality of this game. And there's like one more active thing you could do, right? Mm-hmm. So you can actually develop a strategy and just sort of like run it without being a machine. So we just figure out what that is for you, how you want to pitch it, how you want to work it, who else you need to know. We do that networky thing. We do it and it works. It worked for us this week, didn't it?
I know, it did. So speaking of, by the way, here's the band book costume in the corner. Alex from A Clockwork Orange. But I've been doing a series of paper costumes for an installation that were based on characters from banned books. And Shannon was suggesting different libraries who do art exhibits that might really, really love this. And did the perfect thing of, let me introduce you to blah as your, I don't know.
1 out of 2 responded. That's 50%.
That's a good rate.
And you know what I was thinking? The other thing we could do, this is how my brain works. I'm like, I've been in sales forever. Let's be smart about this. What if we look for the public libraries where there's a school board, where there's some mom who's causing trouble and getting a bunch of books banned, and see if the library in a show of artistic resistance wants to bring you into that library in that county. Isn't that smart?
That would work really well. So anywhere the Moms for Liberty have been playing.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. All
so
right.
Librarians, they are our frontline resistors.
They're serious badasses. I know. Go librarians. I know a few of them are like, yes, yes, strike a chord for us all. Okay. I think
Yeah,
that
I was
that'll be
thinking about that
wonderful.
for you. Yeah, let's just target those areas. And how beautiful for the community to see your work and to think about how to creatively press back in times of real full on 360 difficulty.
Yeah. And that there are so many different ways that you
Mhm.
can do it. And that these are things that strike up conversations. And I think that that's what we're doing, like in
Yes, and
our
then we
own
find
different,
each other.
yeah. We find out like, how do you make changes and use the skills that you've got already?
Yeah. And
And
how do we keep each other employed? Like,
yes.
I want you to, I mean, obviously, I'm trying to get you to literally be in my town, let alone my state that needs you. And then, like, this conversation, one of the
That
things
needs
that
to
I'm
be
trying
all
to,
over here.
I want to have more conversations with folks in the disability community. Like, again, show me your book. Let's have, like, whatever it is, like, let's have a conversation. This person and I are now besties because her book and mine have so much in common. Because, of course, we do. Because this
Mhm.
is about the Venn diagram of where we find each other. And so I just think, like, let's have more. We find each other, and it just is like a floaty on the river of the shitstorm that is happening. So I'm like, okay, because I
Mhm.
always feel so much better when I find somebody. I
Of
think
course,
that's why we do these things.
of course. This is how you find your people. This is
Mm.
how you build resistance. And this is
Hmm.
how you build a better world.
Amen. And I
It's like,
love all your work. I'm a huge fan.
I thank you.
I was talking to somebody about you about this. I was like, oh, I think it's going to work. It's going to be 2028, maybe.
Yeah.
That's too long away. I'm going to get you to South Carolina
Okay,
before
we'll
then.
figure this out. We'll figure it out. There'll be more places.
More places.
It'll be
I'm
great.
so glad that you invited me. I'm so glad we spoke at the
That
conference.
was so cool. Like, honestly, just sitting down at breakfast one day. That was really neat. I'm like, what are you doing here? Why? What are you? That's
I love to ask questions. I'm like, hello.
that's amazing. Let's just do that while we're lunching and brunching. It'll be great.
Yep. Yep. And it's so important to find other like-minded survivors who are at the intersection of all the things. And yet here we are. Look at us, still
Yep.
creating, still making new cool things. Here we are.
It's one of the things that I've found that there's an awful lot of really resilient badasses out
And
there.
we still have our senses of humor
Yes. Well,
most of the time.
most of the time. Not all the time. I mean,
Sometimes my fangs are like,
I know lately sometimes the fury just.
you know, the singer. Can I give one funny thing I've been referring to? You
Okay.
know, Dochi.
Yes.
Okay, you know when she first came on the scene in one of her songs that went viral, she was like, "Grr, grr." She like growls. So my neurodivergence loves it, and so sometimes if I can't like visibly, and I have to keep my like keeping the face, you might hear me go like, underneath. And it is so like my body, it's like somatic, and I can grr without making a face. It's some, and underneath it, I'm just like, mhm. And that makes me feel like I haven't totally abandoned myself. You know,
Yep.
like yes, this
The
is this,
the
and
feral
I have more
animal
of it.
needs to be acknowledged. But right now I'm like,
Wow. Mhm.
I'm not biting your throat out yet.
Not yet.
But I'm thinking about it. And you gotta sleep sometime.
People are not too weirded out by me. They can also find me. I post a lot on Instagram. So at yes, it's Shannon Ivey is another way because websites, but at yes, it's Shannon Ivey. Love
Okay.
to know you. Love to be connected.
Always good, but make sure that I've got that in there. Dun, dun, dun. Looking, just seeking that out in the meantime. And
Yeah.
also, yes, it's Shannon Ivy.
Yes.
Okay.
That's because my initials are SI and I love to speak Espanol. And so, sí, is Shannon Ivey. Yes, it's Shannon Ivey. So
There you go.
that was my little clever.
Ta-da. All right, we've got you. We're putting it into the chat.
Yay.
Ta-da-da. And also, you were talking about the idea of maybe coaching people through some of their own medical advocacy.
Yeah. So
I mean,
the way,
I don't know, but
yeah,
it's
yeah. No, I think that is coming. So I am a overly trained International Coaching Federation professional coach, PCC level. They got levels, this thing. And I know that people like feel a little bit weird about coaching as an industry. Just know I agree with you. And so a part of what I've done is I've done sort of a lit review on what cancer coaching, like let's start there. What does that look like? How to be helpful? I After I do this first push, I have looked at what else I might want to do, like patient navigation.
mm,
I would hate to charge people who are already at all the intersections coaching type of money to do that. So I'm actually looking for a sponsor.
mm, very good idea.
So I can offer it to probably I'd start with cancer first, but also I have a big interest in chronic illness.
Thank you.
Of course, and invisible disabilities. Like, so I have a new friend who's a palliative care doctor, and he and I have talked about it. The medical folks are getting closer to me. I'm just trying to figure out like how does that work so that like maybe it's billable. Maybe I do it through another practice, and I'm just learning the codes and things because I am
Mm,
not a clinician. But what if I worked with one?
absolutely.
I'm
I
not
mean,
a social worker, but patient navigator, you don't have to be a social worker.
no, and
We
that
need
might
1,000 more
be,
patient navigators. We need 1,000, a million more.
yeah, just because that's such a challenge for almost everyone to deal with. And that should be billable. Like that
I
should
know.
be
I think they
interesting.
bill at like a really low rate, like $11 an hour. It's something. It's like not quite. It's just I'm working on it. So let's just say my brain. So one of the cool things is I have what's called a community coaching. So I have like this green bottle method. So it's on my website. You can look at coaching and then it sort of shows like the different tiers. So like that is something if someone was just like, can I just talk to you? You can talk to me like we can do like a fit check, meet cute chat for free. And then if you want to work with me, I have people who work month to month. And so there's no contract for community coaching. I send you an email. I blind copied all my people. And then we have established like what green bottle you're in, meaning your resources.
Hmm.
So no shame, no blame. I don't do any like paperwork check, you know. I'm just like if you say this is my income, this is the bottle I respond to financially, resource wise, then that's what you get. That's and you get the same quality coaching. So if someone is interested in that, I'd be happy to navigate that with them. I just want to make sure, watch my ethics. I want to make sure that I'm what they need because I'm also a referral queen. I don't know it. I'm like Spider Woman. I'm going to connect you with this person, this person. I'll find someone to help.
And that is what we need.
Yeah.
We need more connections for
Oh
all of
yeah.
the things.
Yeah.
I think you've been doing it beautifully.
Thank you, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. And you can
More
find her.
soon.
You can find her at shannonivey.com and all of the links in the chat. All right.
Hi, friend.
Stop.